Today is October 30th, 2016, and it is about 9 o'clock in the morning here in Ohio. What we're going to show you today is how to use Excel to create quick reports on the fly. So I've got my data set here. I have 1,000 rows of actual data along with a header row. So I'm going to quickly select all of this data. I'm going to show you a shortcut for that. We're going to hit Control Shift in our right arrow and Control Shift in our down arrow. Look at that, all of our data is selected. So from there, we're going to go to our Insert menu, and we are going to insert a pivot table. Now, this is super easy, and you're going to impress a lot of people when you learn this. So you're going to select your table or range, which we already did, A1 to G1001. And then we're going to say, do we want to do it to a new worksheet, or do we want to put this pivot table in an existing worksheet? Well, we don't have an existing worksheet to put it in, so we're going to press OK for a new worksheet. Okay, so the first thing that we want to know, we have our data set here, and you can see we have a gender field, so we're going to drag that into the rows section here, and you'll see that on your pivot table report you have female and male listed, and that is sorted by default by alphabetically, so female comes before male, and or importance, I guess, maybe. So what do we want to know? Well, we want to know how much the female and the male has spent by gender. One of the first things I always do to a report such as this is I go into the design for the pivot table tools, and I go to the report layout, and always move this to tabular form. This way we actually see what we're looking at. Instead of that row labels, it now says gender, and some of them out. I hate how Excel defines these because it doesn't always make sense. It does in this case, but anyway, so what we're going to do, we're going to make these fields, because they're dollar values, we want to put a dollar sign in them. So we're going to right click, go to Value Fields Settings. Once you're in here, you click on Number Format. And just like you do in Excel, in a normal Excel workbook, you're going to click on Accounting. How many decimal places? Well, we have 2. And your symbols are going to be a dollar sign. So press OK and OK. And Excel's changed that now. Perfect, right? Okay, so I want to insert one more pivot table here. And I'm telling you, this is super easy. We've already got our data set selected. We're going to hit Pivot Table over here under the Insert menu. And we've still got our range selected. Now where do we want to put it? Well, we want to put it in that same location. So we're going to click in Existing Worksheet, click inside the location box, click over to your sheet 3. Never recommend putting a pivot table underneath another pivot table, because if data expands, like if we put undecided as a gender type or not known, something like that, that could potentially make this report here could potentially wipe out this report as it expands. So I always say move one space over. So skip to column C, we're going to go to column D. Now again, if you expand it widthwise, then this table is going to wipe this out. So you may even want to go over further to J or something like that. But for the purpose of this demonstration, we're just going to put it in this D3. So you can see sheet 3, D3 is where that's going. We got our nice pivot table report builder. So now what we want to know, I'm going to throw gender back in the rows, but now I want gender, with gender, I want to put the full names. Okay, so we have all of our females are listed, and that's a very large data set. So I'm just going to, if I can get it to collapse. Click on that little plus minus button. All the females are hidden. Now it's showing the males. So you can see we have a ton of customers that have purchased from us now. Oh, come on. There we go. Sorry. And now we're also going to put in here, we're going to put amount into this. So now you can see that we've got the amount by female, and then each individual female's purchases. And if I can get this to work, same thing with the males. We have the male total amount, and then each of the individual purchases underneath that. Okay, so we got that in there. Again, I'm going to go to Design. I'm going to go to Report Layout and Show in Tabular Form. Okay, so we've got gender, full name, and sum of amount. Again, we're just going to select this whole data set here, go all the way to the bottom, and we're going to right-click Value Field Settings, Number Format, and we're going to go to Accounting. Okay, and okay. So this would be a huge report, and typically we're looking for just maybe the top sellers. So under Full Name here, we can click this little drop down and say Value Filters. Let's say we want the top 10. So we're going to say we want the top 10 items percent or sum. So we're going to say items by some amount. And look what that did. So it gave us the top 10. If you look here, I'll select this. So you don't have to count them. You can see down in the corner here it says count as 10 of each of the males and each of the females. Isn't that great? And it gives us what our sum of the amount is. So it's saying that Andrew Bailey purchased $1,518.54. Now, something that may make this even better here as a report, we can say how many orders do they do. Now, of course, ID is each individual transaction has an ID, and it starts at 1 and increases. So it's summing that because it's a number value. Well, that doesn't really make sense. We want to know how many. So we're going to change that. And again, I'm sorry, I sped right through that. You click on Sum of ID, click on Value Field Settings. We're going to say count those instead. And then just press OK. So you can see that most of these were just one purchase in the female category, but in the male category, they often had 2 purchases. So Andrew Bailey had 2 purchases. Now, when you're looking at this report, you're like, great, that's great. Well, what's the detail behind it? There is a really cool option in here. All you have to do to find out what transactions Andrew Bailey did, you just double click that, and it's going to break down that original chart or that original data set and just show you those in a new sheet. It created a sheet 4. Isn't that amazing? So you can actually see that he had 2 purchases totaling $1,518.54. And if we go back to Andrew Bailey, I'm going to delete this sheet real quick. We go back to Andrew Bailey, we can see 2 purchases, $1,518.54 was the total. Isn't that awesome? So there's several uses that this can be good for, and I hope that you've learned a little bit about this. Again, I will make the data set available on the website at www.excelgenius.co, and I thank you for joining me today. Let me know if you have any questions.